Okay, welcome Shakura, Module 9, Shaman Soul School, the module Final Ascent, remembering who you are, who we are. So this module is all about our voice and expressing our truth through our voice and stepping into our power. So the final ascent as such is this moment where we stop hiding our own power and use our voice, well, like raising our word, like the poet Rumi says. There's this good poem to make a good point with. Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. So, but here thunder and rain, they meet. So the voice becomes this vibration that is like thought to flesh, prayer to movement, silence to revolution. So when our voice is kind of walking this nakedness in truth, then the universe is also leaning upon us, and it's like the universe is saying, well, finally they remember who they are. It's like speaking our truth, like owning our personality. And I think deeply that it is connected to our authenticity, which then again is connected to our psychological wounding, childhood woundings, and all about clearing out and bringing to light. So the voice is kind of like the last thing to bring to light. As we know, then the voice is what everything started with, the Big Bang, as the science says, or the great mother of creation or the father of creation, however we want to say it. It all started with the voice, with the sound, with the Big Bang, with the expression of that, and then the light came. So we can in a way say that the voice is the primal expression of the creation, but for us humans, it is the last stage of remembering who we truly are and to be able to express our light as well through our voice. So dear, let's drop down into our breath for a while, connect to our heart space and prepare for our session. So gently touch your heart if you feel called for that. And let's take 5 to 7 very deep inhalations and exhalations together. Allow that air to gently touch our heart and to awaken our magnetism, to awaken our heart-brain coherence, the brain in our hearts. As we prepare for the session, let's invite the archetypes, the Sachamama, the great serpent, who teaches us to shed the past and to slither close to Pachamama and feel her wisdom. So teach us to move with grace and grounded power, great Mother Serpent. Aho. And to the winds of the west, Otorongo, the jaguar, coming with the spirit of the setting sun, keeper of the underworld and fearless truth. Walk with us through the shadows and guard our medicine space. Show us to die with dignity so we may live in freedom. Aho.
Aho.
And to the winds of the north, royal hummingbird, messenger from the luminous past, drinker of the nectar of the ancestors. Teach us to follow the path of joy, to trust the invisible and to fly towards the impossible. Welcome to our medicine space. Aho.
Aho.
And to the winds of the east, great eagle, condor, you who soar between the worlds, lift us beyond the mountains of limitation and help us see with the eye of the spirit, to dream with clarity and courage. Carry our prayers into the light. Aho.
Aho.
And we call upon the Hanan Pacha, the upper world, the realm of the stars, the angels, the ancestors in light. We call upon the wisdom that guides all evolution. Bless us with inspiration, protection, and vision. And to Kai Pacha, the middle world, this sacred present moment, where we walk as humans between realms. Teach us balance, right action, reciprocity. Help us live with presence, honor, and beauty. And to Ukupacha, the lower world, womb of Pachamama, home of the hidden, the shadow, the root. We honor the unseen, the ancestors of stone and seed. May we heal what lies below and bring it to the light. And to Inti Taita, Father, Son, radiant source of all life, shine through our hearts and fuel our intentions. Illuminate the path of the healer and warm the seeds of our becoming. And to Pachamama, sacred earth mother, you who receive all and give all, we return to your body with reverence. Thank you for the food, the medicine, the breath. We promise to walk gently upon you, with breath, with heart, with hands, honoring the sacred wave of life. This is our offering. This is our remembering. And this is our prayer. Aho.
Aho.
Once again, welcome to the session, Module 9 of Shaman Soul School. Very interesting, very important topic. We're going to start a little bit with some reading, reflections, talking. So let's just roll, you and I, Shakura. So the voice, we can call it like the vibration of creation. And to start with, we can say long before we were born, before our first cry, there was this first vibration, a pulse. And we can call this a rhythm in our mother's womb. So our heartbeat was the drum. And our mother's voice was the first melody. And long before that, long before family lines and anything, long before cities and nations, long before the first fire was kindled, there was a sound. And all the sacred texts are talking about this sound. Our creation begins with a voice. So in the Bible, it is written, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So the Gospel of John is encoding this with an ancient truth. Vibration precedes form. And how so? So sound is the bridge from the invisible to the visible. For example, the Hindu scriptures, the Rig Vedas, they call it Nada Brahma. And this means the world is sound. in Egypt, the Thoth and the priests of the temples, they believed that the human voice could awaken storms and summon gods. So the Hopi tradition speaks of the first songs that brought life to earth.
Mm.
And in our tradition, in Kero lineage of the High Andes, well, the voice is a living bridge to the cosmos. And for the Kero nation, words are not casual, they are offerings, like a whisper to the wind. It's like this conversation with Vaira, which is the wind on Kero language, the living spirit of air. It's like a chant to the mountains. And it's not symbolic. That's why often when you notice that a lot of us, the shamans, when we call upon the archetypes, communicate with the spirit, we often kind of throw in a small whistle or something. It's a reminder of the spirit's involvement with us and with the communication with the invisible. So this is just a gesture, communication with the invisible. So when Kero shamans prepare for ceremony, they will often speak into these coca leaves, so-called Kintus. And often they use just 3 leaves. They kind of infuse each leaf with intention and vibration, speaking into them, also with their breath, with their words. So these leaves are offered then to the fire of Mother Earth, and they're kind of carrying the prayers within this frequency of the voice. So in healing rituals, Kero shamans often they sing or whistle over the body. And this is not for performance. It's simply for that reason that the sound and the communication between the healer and the spirit is reorganizing the Kausai Pacha. And the Kausai, which means the universe, the universal connection to everything, the creation. And it's like the living field of life force, and it kind of surrounds everything that we perceive as interpenetrating our body. So all of our surroundings and the way we perceive them. So a single word, softly spoken, word of love, of forgiveness, which is offered in coherence, it can ripple really through the luminous body like, well, let's say like a bell through water. And sound travels much more quickly through the water, which is non-logical to us humans, as we perceive water as thicker element than the air, but actually sound travels much more fast in the water. So you can then say that the voice is this like a tuning fork for our soul. And in this way, the carer reminds us that to speak is to weave reality. And our voice is not at all separate from creation. It's like this very important thread in the great web of existence.
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of the silenced voice. And why is this important? So every human carries this voice print. And every voice carries a history as well, from childhood, from our relationships, and our relationships with our voice as well. And these kind of reflect this self-expression and safety. So we can then ask ourselves, just to reflect while we work through this wisdom, were we ever encouraged to speak or to sing and to express ourselves when we were young? Or were we silenced, shamed, or told to be quiet to avoid conflict, And this is very important for us later on as adults to remember how was our childhood and why is it that our voice possibly is not expressing itself in its full beauty in present time. So these questions can really bring us to some important answers that can help us heal as adults. So psychology then tells us that suppressed expression can manifest as anxiety, tension in our neck or jaw, or the classical, like lump in our throats. And then trauma can also lodge itself in our body's musculature, and particularly in the throat and the chest. So then the voice becomes this timid and hesitant and also overly performative, not authentic expression. So when this happens, when we realize this and know the facts of our childhood, we can then realize that we are not fully in our power because our self-expression and sovereignty, they're kind of inseparable. They're truly connected to each other. So Shakura energy medicine confirms this language of the chakras, of our energy centers. So our throat chakra, which is called Vishuddha chakra, is associated with clarity, communication, and authentic truth. So when it is blocked, it manifests as fear of speaking, self-doubt, or physical elements like sore throat, or, well, we can also even have thyroid imbalances. So when this energy center is awakened and clear, well, then our voice resonates like a clear bell and kind of carries this vibration of our soul. And it's really remarkably to feel and to sense when we are aligned in this way. This is really something that we can feel. So the mythical dimension of voice then we can speak about. And this is our soul. So in myth, our voice is never just a voice. It becomes this sound that was, or a word, let me say, it was always a bridge between the worlds. And how can we then compare this to the myths and to the past and to the present? So in the Bible, in Genesis, God speaks the universe into existence and says, "Let there be light." It's the voice that is first, which is calling upon the light. So in, for example, what they call the book of Popol Vuh, it's the Mayan book of creation. The gods, they're trying to make humans or humanity will to speak the name of the world. And then only when humanity can voice gratitude and this song of creation, well, then the creation becomes complete. So here the Mayan myths are telling us that the creation and the creator and ourselves as the reflections of the creator are entirely connected to each other, and the creation is not fulfilled without each other. So from that perspective, we know then that our responsibility to co-create consciously this world is very huge. It is like being divine, like being a divine creator. So, for example, the Nordic myths, they tell of this god Odin. He's whispering the runes into the fabric of reality. He's kind of giving language the power to bind and to liberate. Then we can look at the Chinese mythology. The Tao Te Ching reminds us that Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao, but it's this voice that humans invoke the sacred into form. So that means, again, very similar to the Mayan book of creation, that we are intricately connected to the creator, to the creation, that without us, the whole picture of the creation is not complete. So this is a reflection of the divine within ourselves. So even so, in shamanic practice, we can speak of the voice as the healer. For example, we heard about the Icaros healing songs from the Amazon. And these songs were kind of sung into our energy field for healing, or also to guide the plant spirits and to reorganize the patient's vibration, the client's vibration with the sound. So, for example, when Kero shamans, they whisper prayers into these coca leaves, the Kintus, then the sound is carrying this intent, like the wind is carrying the seeds, let's say. And then the human voice becomes this mythic technology. It's the bridge between the finite and the infinite. So then we can conclude that the voice is really a great tool of energy medicine. And our voice then can be able to liberate trapped energy. So, for an example, when we speak a truth that we have been holding back, often our body can begin to tremble. And this is like this life force moving through us. And it's like if we try to hum into our chest during our sadness, this vibration can kind of release emotional density, which is stored in our lungs and chest. And this is the same notion of the voice being this both liberating and healing tool for ourselves, firstly and foremostly, and then for our surroundings, connected to our intention, of course. So when we then chant or sing with intention, we create this resonance in the electromagnetic field that can shift not only our mood, but often our reality as well. Modern science, neuroplasticity, speaks about consistent vocal affirmation paired with elevated emotion, which literally then can rewire our brains, our belief systems. So this is really overlapping beautifully with the myths and with the older teachings, but what we know now about the human brain and how we perceive that our beliefs are actually creating our reality and our experience as humans. So simply to say, speaking gratitude out loud, it activates these neural pathways for optimism, for regulation of our nervous system, and then whispering intentions to ourselves. For example, before we sleep, when our mind is really prone to receiving the new instructions, so to say, to reprogram our belief systems, because our brain is really at this super potent place to be activated into reprogramming and reinstalling new beliefs just before sleep, just before we enter the theta state. So, in short, we can say that the voice is so powerful that what we speak, we become. So this is really powerful, I think, for everybody to know. So let's have a few reflective questions. So far, so good. And I hope that you will engage with me a little bit. So, first question for you, Dirshak. When have you most felt the power of your voice to change a space or a mood or a relationship?
That's a really good question, isn't it? And there's quite a few instances. And what sprung to my mind now and my heart was when I said sorry. I felt a big change in me. And I felt a change in the room and to the person I was speaking it to, because I really meant it. And I was atoning, I was owning that actually there was a place for me to say sorry. It was very, very powerful.
Thank you so much. And I can feel you truly. And the word sorry carries such a great importance and resonance that I can only imagine that the feeling that came back to you in this situation was really to feel and to sense deeply within your being. Thank you. So, second question. What truths remain unspoken in your life? And how would it feel to give them sound?
What truths remain unspoken in my life and what would give them a sound?
How would it feel to give them a sound?
That's a really interesting question again, isn't it? And I can feel my brain, like kind of doing flips, and I come in with my heart. I think, and I know that my truth, my truths would be something like I'm willing to trust in the power of the universe, which is connected to me now. And I think up until now, I haven't really totally trusted that. Not really. But I feel there's a readiness now, and it may be to do with the Lion's Gate, the portal, the very strong energies that we're in now for co-creating. And to put that to a sound would be lovely, wouldn't it? What sound could the universe sound like? So it's all bringing out the child in me as well.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful, deep question. And well, if you ask me, well, I would then say that the most primal sound of the universe, by my primal remembrance, should sound something like this hum that we use when we meditate, like this hum. And this should be the primal, but this is just my belief. The belief system speaks there to the words. But thank you. That's a deep sharing. Well, then one more question, please. So, if your voice were a bridge to the divine, what would you dare whisper into creation today?
My gratitude for all the blessings that actually surround me. I'd whisper that to the divine. And it's so easy to forget that.
Thank you. That gives great sense. That gives great sense. Thank you, Shakura. Well, let's speak a little bit more about sound and voice then, in this collective field of the sound. So we are actually always emitting sound, even in silence. So our field, our luminous energy field, is speaking before our mouth even opens, And when we give voice to our inner truth, something powerful happens. And then we can bridge the unseen and the heard. And then we become this transmitter of coherence, which means that our nervous system and our luminous energy body and our radiance is completely in balance, in harmony. So we can also say when we express from our heart, not from this, what we can call like this performative identity. Our words have the energy to reorganize reality truly. This is all connected to the coherent state of our nervous system and the wholeness that we so want to achieve in our lifetimes. So we can think then, let's say, how would a true apology soften anger by voice if the apology was said in really the right and truthful, coherent way, so that one can feel when the apology was given that the apology is sincere and truthful. And this is what we can feel as humans very much. And we also can feel from within us when we apologize to someone, whether our apology is deeply meant or not. So this goes both ways. We can also think then, when we laugh really truly from our hearts, from the soul, how this can change the whole mood in the room. So, or maybe just somebody will say a simple "I love you," but "I love you" for me is really, well, it's like big. But a simple "I love you" can, if it's felt, well, it can make somebody cry of tears of joy or really truly gratified. So this is kind of frequency transmission through our voice. And then we realize that our voice is the vessel to co-creation of our reality and our experience as humans. So what is stopping our voice? What are the blockages that could be in the way for us to fully own our auditative expression? So, for example, fear of judgment. This is a big one connected to our voice. Or trauma which is stored in our throat, in our throat chakra. Or childhood wounds of being silenced. Or conditioning, also from the childhood, sometimes from the adult age, to speak only when spoken to. Or even generational silence, which we experience in our families and in our societies, in our communities and lands, so to say. And then we can say that none of these are truly ourselves. These are kind of like barriers, veils, limitations for our true voice to shine through and to express itself in all its divine beauty. So this module, the Final Ascent, is is all about actually burning these illusions and these veils which are in the way for us to be able to express our voice in its fullest divine expression. So when we remember who we are, and we remember that we are born to express with voice among us, and we are born to liberate ourselves and others as well by kind of giving this soul of ours a sound, a voice. So this is really a great tool when we begin realizing the power of our expression of our soul through voice. And this becomes a healing tool then for ourselves and for all of our surroundings. So let's have a few more reflective questions. Sakura, what was the first time that you remember silencing yourself?
That's a good question. Probably as a child. I had quite a traumatic childhood, so this is a question that could be re-stimulating. However, I was bullied as a child, amongst other things, and I remember thinking I better keep quiet, I better keep it in, otherwise they might pick on me. So that would have affected my voice. I was quiet.
I see.
As a child.
I see. I see. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And well, how great that you can point at these parts of your childhood which now are healed, can be healed, brought to light fully. Thank you for sharing. It's very deep. One more question, please. What did you then needed to hear in your childhood back then that was never spoken to you?
Well, my mom was a lady in her time, my mom, who didn't have the capacity to say, I love you to me. Through her own woundedness. I've accepted all that now. So I would have loved to have been told by my mom, I love you.
How beautiful. Well, Sakura, you're loved. So thank you, for sharing, for being open and honest. These are also some deep questions which really can touch our core and can remind us of where we still do have some work to be done on ourselves, to be able to express ourselves, and among us our voice, this beautiful tool that we got from the divine, that even so in a literal way makes us divine creators. So we are nearing the end of our session. So let's speak a little bit more about how our voice changes the field. So let's imagine this. Every time we speak our truth, the universe is kind of reorganizing this around the frequency of our speech. And this means actually that our vocalizing, our language, our voice is breaking the chains, and not only ours, but also ancestral chains. And we learn to focus in on this truth, which is a part of our deeper ancestral memory. And then we can say, well, to speak in a way is to cast a spell as well. Then we can ask ourselves, well, how do we speak daily? And what spells are we casting with our daily words? So this is saying to us that we have to choose our words with love. We have to speak our boundaries with clarity, and then offer our wisdom with confidence. So this can also bring us to a few more important reflective questions. So Shakura, are there any areas of your life which you're still filtering your truth to fit others' comfort?
Yes, definitely a yes to that. I think it's my family, because I've changed so much and there's a lot of pain in my family unhealed. And I find that part where I want to speak my truth gently, clearly, and lovingly, and realize there might not be capacity to understand.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And what I can understand from your really deep and honest answer, that you actually are aware of the power of your words and that you're very careful and considerate in the environment where your words make an impact, which is actually creating reality back to your experience of your own being. Beautiful. Very great awareness, very great consciousness. Thank you. So let's then reflect a little bit more at the ending of the session. So, kind of this ritual at the ending of our session where we can say that we can hold space for silence and joy and also release. So let's you and I connect to our heart space for a bit more, and then we are going to have a short fire ceremony to connect to our chakras and to reintegrate this wisdom back into our energy bodies. So let's drop down into our breath for a while. Allowing the life force energy to enter our field and to sustain the honesty and the clarity of our voice. And as we hear the breath, the life force, entering our bodies, our energy centers, we allow its expression to merge with all of our energy centers, purifying, aligning, re-energizing, and truly allowing for our most authentic expression of our voice and our truth to emerge and to stay present within our field and within our daily lives. And as we bridge the seen with the unseen. May our voice carry the gratitude of our ancestors, of the elements, of Mother Earth, Father Sun, and our very selves, the body that we inhabit and the spirit which we carry. Let's then remember that when we speak with love, when we act with courage, when we stand in our truth, the world and our words are healing us. At the end of this session, let's remind ourselves that we are radiant beings of truth and that we carry our voice with presence, with dignity, and with life force intelligence. So, dear Shakura, if you have your candle beside you, I invite you to connect with me a little bit before our session ends. Beautiful. Thank you. So let's pass our hands gently over the flame and connect to our heart space. Allowing this timeless wisdom to integrate with our field, with our soul, with our heart, with our mind, and may it express itself through us as a divine tool of compassion, love, unity, the truth, and honesty of our own being. And may we, through speaking our truth, touch the hearts of others and be fully connected to the divine expression of sound and light. Shakura, on your own time, we are finished with module 9. Thank you for being here today with me. Deep respect for your voice and for your honest answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just gonna stop the recording now. few seconds.